Hello, everybody. Welcome to this lesson of Introduction to Sakha ASMR Edition. I'm slightly joking, but I do strive to have a gentle and soothing voice. Alright. Today we are doing Aksus Urok, the 8th lesson. The vocabulary, Talar. We start with Ubay, older brother. Brat, from Russian brat, which is brother in general, or sometimes can just be younger brother. Dogar, friend. Atas, friend or acquaintance. Husband. You may remember that kihi means man, but by itself means husband. Then we have Oyoch, wife. Baltum, my younger sister. Now, this is a typo in the textbook. It says older sister. Um, but you'll see that below it says that older sister is Aras. Um, so actually, we see if you're looking at the screen, per the dictionary entry that I copied, that Balis is younger sister, Baltum is an irregular form, meaning my younger sister. Then we have Anya, to play, La, to sing, Kipse, to tell or to relate, Ulahanuk, strongly, forcefully, or seriously, Karatuk, a little, not much, Uta, to cry, Uter, he, she, or it cries, Aras, meaning older sister. I also copied part of a dictionary entry noting that sometimes people will refer to an elder sister as Eji, but Eji means also aunt, as in auntie. Okay. Then we have Ikien, both. You remember Iki is two, Ikien, both. Usu, still or also. That may seem contradictory to have both of those meanings, but the context makes it very clear. Tuksu, sufficient or enough. Tuksu. The remarks on grammar. So the third person present tense with long vowels will be formed with the means of the suffix ir, ur, or ur. Here the final wide and long vowels of the stem merges with the narrow vowel of the affix and disappears. So if we have aha, you will take off the ah and put and it will be acher, eats. Ulele, to work. Ulelir, works. Tochta, stop, to stop. Tochtor, stops or remains. Tulu, to pay. Tulur, pays. The third person present, plural of these verbs, which means they do something, is formed according to the general rule. So basically, you're still adding ir, ur, ur, but you're changing the final R to an L and adding lar, ler, etc. So we have achelar, üleliller, so they eat, they work, right? Tachtullar, tululer, okay. Transformation of the terminal consonants, which means final consonants, k, p, ch, and s. I always gotta call when I'm doing something. But that's okay. The consonants k, p, ch, and s, when they occur at the end of a stem, preceding an affix that begins with a vowel, transform respectively into g, b, r, and ch. So ka, ignore that cursor there. That was apparently there when I when I screenshot that. So the ka becomes a ga, the pa becomes a ba, the ga the kha becomes a ga, and the sa becomes a kha. Not a kha, but a kha, highlight H. So tunuk, we add the it becomes tunugum. And that's just because naturally between two vowels, the hard consonant will lighten on its own. It's not a fancy rule, it's just the way things come out naturally. The skap plus will become skaben. Sorry, skabem. Ahoch plus will become aharum. Kus plus will become kuchem. So if you ever see a word and you're like, what is this kuch? Kuch. What is that? I don't know that word. Oh yeah, it's kus. The C just changed to an S. And that the C changed to an H. The C sound changing to an H sound will also happen in some words in colloquial speech, such as sus might become hus, etc. In the terminal combinations, the final combination consonants L and T or R and T. In such situations, T is voiced. That is, it transforms into a B, or is that a duh? Because this font that they do, one sec. All right, yes, so that is a D, obviously, actually, because the T would change to a D, not to a B. But this is why you guys know you can trust me, because I don't just BS it. I make sure I'm clear on what I'm saying. That's why I always say, feel free to ask me questions if it is within my realm of knowledge as a second language, well, not second, but a foreign language learner of Yakut. I will answer. And if I do not know, I will ask a native speaker for you. So, Bult would become Buldum. The reason I was confused is because in handwriting, that weird looking backwards D, well, not backwards, curvy D thing is kind of how we write the B. Um, but then I'm like, well, it looks different than the first B. That's not usually how the handwriting font looks, but occasionally you'll see a textbook that has that where the D, instead of the type font and instead of the lowercase g, it looks like this weird English D. All right, so Buldum, my quarry, my prey. Turt plus turtum, turtum. Okay, I am 4 years old. Vowels in the vocative case. The vowel in the final syllable is lengthened, so aga would become aga, ebe becomes ebe, dagar becomes dagar. Here, narrow vowels frequently transform into diphthongs. Agahum becomes agahuram, dagarum becomes dagaruam, and so on. You'll see examples of that, and we'll get more into cases as we go on. Cases is just, for those who are not familiar with noun cases, it's just a way to have a suffix or a change in the word, where in English it would just be a different word. Like with him, they would just change the form of him instead of putting with before it. Or to him would put an ending instead of, or change the word instead of putting to, the word to beforehand. So sometimes what is a separate word in one language is a suffix or a change in the word in another. All right. So now we get into these sentences. 8.1. Minjonum, my people. But in this case, it's like my family. Okay. Minjonum elbehter. I have a lot of people in my family. Feel free to pause or glance at the literal translation if it's helpful. Ehem, wana, ebem, ikien balar. I have a grandma and a grandpa, or my grandma and grandpa are both still living, you could say. Arab uchutal, iem kolhuska ulelir. My father is a teacher. My mother works. I translated this as a farm co-op, but the kolhoz in Russian is the collective farms that some people worked at in Soviet times. Okay, so some vestiges of Soviet culture is still left in this book, but the editor that translated the Russian part into English mostly updated it to modern things. All right. Ubayan Emiet Uchutal. My big brother's also a teacher. Kini Ayaga Traktarka Ülelir. So his wife works on a tractor. His wife works driving a tractor. Agahın kolhozka ülelir. Kini ere Sovyet председателя. My older sister works at a farm co-op, and her husband is a Soviet chairman. Now, we don't live in Soviet times anymore now, do we? But the word chairman, coming from Russian, may still be used. Or you might hear that Soviet talking about in the past. Bıraktım bana baltım öğrenirler. Bıraktım bana baltım öğrenirler. My brother and my big sister study. Kıra balıstarım bana bıraktarım ciğere Allah. My little sisters and my brothers stay at home. Sit at home, literally. Ciğere barı ciğere keleller. Ciğere barı ciğere keleller. In the evening, everyone comes home. Agam hahat kinike agar. My father reads newspapers and books. Ağalar emmiye ağalar suruyallar. The children also read and write. Kıra ağalar anyolar. So in anyolar, pay attention because we have a long vowel at the beginning. We have a na, and then we have a nya, and then we have o or o, another long vowel, and then a double L. So you have a lot of sounds that may be challenging for some non-Turkic, non-Altaic, non-North Asian language speakers. So anyolar. Kıra ağalar anyolar. The little children play. Onna kim ıtır. Who's crying there? Who's that crying there? Yorgun ıtır. Yorgun is crying. Yorgun ıtama. Don't cry, Yorgun. You might remember the don't do something is ma. So I put the literal translation, cry not. Maybe that should actually be cry don't. Okay. Oh, I have my Spanish. I'll put the apostrophe in there later. I'm on the Spanish keyboard. Okay. Kel, manna olor. Come, sit here. Yorgun keler wanna oloror. Yorgun comes and sits. Ebem Yorgunga kipsir. So my grandma talks to Yorgun kips kipse is to tell, as in to tell stories, to narrate something, to retell a story. So in this case, I put tells or talks or is talking to, but really we could say tells a story to Yorgun, perhaps more accurately, right? Yorgun ister. Yorgun listens. Ebe üssü kepse karatık. Grandma, talk to us a bit more. Still talk to us. Still tell us a little bit. Tell us another story, that kind of thing, right? Ehe, ehe, en kipse. You too, Grandpa. You also tell. All right. Ehem emie kipsir. My grandpa also talks or tells a story. Yorgun tuksu. Adaf Yorgun. Bar anya. Go play. I love how they like come here, let me tell you a story to calm you down, and then at some point they're like, all right, that's enough, go play. Like poor Yorgun. No wonder she's crying. Yorgun barar wanna anyor. Yorgun goes and plays. Fortunately, children are easy to please. Keskil en ola hanuk agama manna aga utwayar. Keskil, don't read too loud. The kids sleeping here. All right. Sometimes I put my English translation not in standard English. Sayana in lama sarthan Allah. Sayana, don't sing now. Sing tomorrow. Ikiki karatak agan wana utuyung. So you remember the positive command is with, for y'all, is with an ng sound at the end of the verb. Y'all read a little and go to sleep. In English, we would probably say don't read too long, don't read too much, and go to sleep. So that's why I put that there. Okay. Now we have the question section. If you want to, you can look at your textbook. The link is in the description box. You can pause and answer the questions out loud or on paper, or you could just listen to me translate the sentences to continue your immersion and analysis of sentence structure and vocabulary use. En Jonung Ilbechterdo. Are there a lot of people in your family? Echen Wanna Ebeng Balardo. Do you have grandparents? Oh, actually, I forgot that these questions are for you. So it would be even easier. You could talk about your family instead of answering based on the text. Arang Tugu Ulelir. Arang Tugu Ulelir. What work does your father do? Ieng Ulelir. Does your mother work? Ubai Bardo. You got an older brother or what? So do is like or, but it could be used at the end of a sentence to make a sentence, like an unsure sentence, like right, or like or. Like you have an older brother or you got an older brother or what? You're unsure, right? Kini Kimi. Who is he? Remember the E ending after matching the vowels there? It's a question ending. Ayaga Ylelierdo. Does his wife work? So you remember that the consonants sometimes change. So instead of ayach, we have ayaga, right? Agas wana balis bardua. Do you have an older sister and a younger sister? Kiniler tugu kanalari. Kanalari. What do they do? I should put that in the last translation. Just what do they do? Barat bardo. You got a brother, right? Baratarang hanna ureneller. Where does your brother study? If you don't have a brother, if you're like, no, I don't have a brother, and then they ask the next question, you can pretend you have one. If you had a brother, what would your imaginary brother, where would he study? All right. Janung kiehe tu kanalar. What does your family do in the evening? En dagarung, your friend. Kimi, en dagarun kimi. Who is your friend? Kini hayach, haydach, ureneri. How does he study? Like, does he study well? Does he study poorly? Atakimi, what is his name or her name? Atachen elbech tua. Do you know a lot of people? And that's literally, are your acquaintances many? Kiniler para ureneller tua. Kiniler para ureneller tua. Do they all study? I don't know who they is. You can pick people. The point of this textbook is to make you think, right? So even if you're like, I don't have a brother, or who's that? You use your imagination. You'll be fine. Thank you for listening to this lesson. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Please, 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 if you've gotten to this point, you obviously like the lessons. Please like, comment, and share with people to spread the beautiful Sakha, aka Yakut language. Thank you.